Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ask Lewis. Today we've got a bunch of questions about chain lubricant. We did an amazing video recently talking about different types of chain lubricant, what I use here in the shop, my recommendations, things like that, and it sounds like we got a lot of traffic on that video and Serafina's inbox has been flooded with questions. So let's try and answer some of these questions, I reckon.
We got so many questions and you're going to love some of these.
Absolutely. Ready? I'm ready, yeah, ready? I'm ready.
Okay, this first one is from Dylan's FTP. Isn't everyone using wax these days? These muck-off lubes have been tested and suck pretty bad when it comes to chain wear. Okay, interesting. How
do I answer that? That's a difficult question to answer. What I'm gonna say is wax honestly is awesome. I totally understand why you love it, Dylan, as well. Wax is better in probably most ways than what any chain lube is, regardless of brand, but you have to think ahead to put it on the night before. I think in the video, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I might have spoken about myself and I might have described myself as being a little bit lazy when it comes to caring for my own bike. And when I go for a bike ride, I wake up in the morning and I say, I'm gonna go for a bike ride. If I was to put wax on just before I go out for a bike ride, it doesn't give it enough time to soak into the chain, so it won't actually do its job, whereas chain lube would if I put it on the morning of the ride. The only downside with wax is that if I was to go for a ride in the morning, I'd have to put the wax on the night before or sometime before, because I think on the back of all the bottles, it says it takes about 8 hours to soak into the chain from memory. There's probably discrepancies in that, but it takes many hours to actually soak into the chain. So I guess your initial question was, doesn't everybody use wax these days? Short answer is no. Lots of people still use chain lube just because it's easier to use. But I also agree with you though that wax probably is better. It's just a little bit more involved. I hope that answers a bit of your question. And I reckon that's about all I've got on that topic. Let's dive into the next question. Yeah.
And just quickly again on that one, it's like
yes.
He's talking specifically about muck-off lubes, but you're not talking specifically about muck-off. You're just saying lube or wax.
Yes. So, sorry. I'm not sponsored or anything by muck-off. I'm just Lewis that just buys whatever is available on at the local bike shops here when I need to buy some chain lube. So I'm not. It's not like it has to be muck-off. I mean, I've also got some Shimano wet lube here. I've also got some Word Light as well. I've got different chain lubes. That just happened to be the one I grabbed in that video. So apologies if I struck a nerve, but muck-off's just what I use because I like it. I've been using it for years anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Cool. This comment section is harsh today. All right. Let's keep going. Yeah.
It gets harsher.
But I've got tough skin. It's okay. I've got tattoos and stuff. Yeah. All right.
We should show them your back.
Yeah. We could. Yeah. You can't get me. I'm tough.
All right. This one is from Rick on YouTube. I tend to clean my bike and drivetrain after every ride. Definitely because when the roads are still wet quite often and it just looks full on black after a ride, does that mean I have to lube it again as it might get washed off by degrease and cleaned with water and soap? Or would that not be necessary every ride when I clean it? What would you recommend?
Great question, Rick. I feel like that's one that probably a lot of people are thinking when they're watching these videos as well. Yes, you can over lube your chain, and if you're saying that your drivetrain is black and greasy and dirty, that's probably what it is. It's almost been over lubed. It sounds to me like you're almost putting chain lube on too often. You might be doing it every ride or every second ride, and depending on the chain lube that you're using, the wet lube, the dry lube, the brand, the whatever you're using, it might not be every 2 rides. It might be something that you have to do only every 400 kilometers, for example. So that might be 8 rides, or that might be 10 rides, or whatever it is. So I'm going to say that's what it sounds like. It sounds like it's being over lubricated. So if you were to put new chain lubricant on, you'll need to clean all that grease off. Chances are, if it's as dirty as you've described, there might even be some caked in the jockey wheels as well. So you might need to scratch that out with like a flathead screwdriver or something like that. But yes, for the new chain lubricant to be effective, yes, you'll need to clean the chain at least a little bit. It doesn't have to be incredibly clean, but just a little bit better than how it is, yes. I've just had someone come in, so I will be right back, guys. Hello, how you going?
G'day.
Sorry about that, guys. We're back now. The customer is nice and happy, so we're all good. We can get back to some more questions. Awesome. What would you like to know, Serafina?
You are going to really love this one.
Okay.
This one is from user CX2BK6PM2F.
Okay.
When you recommend muck off, you're either a paid shrill or you don't know much. This is one of the worst lubes available. And then it says, look at the ZFC test data. Nice.
Okay, cool. Is that our first like hate comment sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Can I have a look at that? All right. Hello, so first of all, I'll say thank you, user-CX2BK6PM2F. Thank you, sir or madam, for your engagement in our video. I am not a paid shill. I'm not sure what shill means, but I can't imagine it's a very nice word. I think I know a couple of things, but you're right, I'm always learning, so I guess I don't know much. You're absolutely right. This is one of the worst lubes available. Okay, cool. I value your opinion. Thank you for that. Look at the ZFC test data. ZFC is actually a local company here, Zero Friction Cycling. They've raised an excellent point, actually. You should definitely have a look at their website. We've sold a bike for Adam here. One bike. Actually, we've sold a few things for Adam here, so I highly recommend checking out the Zero Friction Cycling website anyway. He studies chain lubricants, he studies waxes, he studies absolutely everything, and will tell you right down to the numbers that you didn't even think you needed to know about every chain lube. I literally mean everything. You could run through Google and I promise you, you won't find a chain lube that he has not tested. He's spent money on the top end expensive stuff. He's spent money on muck off. I'll be honest, I haven't studied the muck off stuff on his website, but I know there will be excellent data there anyway. So if you wanted to have a look at Zero Friction Cycling, you will come out of that website with a slightly larger brain than you went into it. There's so much information there. So thank you, user random letters and numbers. That was a great hate comment that we turned into a positive. So thank you very much. All right, okay, let's jump on to the next question. Yeah, you can't hurt me. You cannot hurt us. Yeah. I got tattoos. I'm tough.
And we'll show the tattoos at the end.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. All right. Next question. That's enough airtime for that user.
All right. My chain. Oh, this one is from Malay NEUM. So my chain keeps on rusting, probably due to tropical country weather. Is there anything to slow down chain rust? Is the outer plate that's mostly affected?
That's a very good question. That last thing you said there, the outer plate, my terminology that I use is I call that the male link, because that's the outer link that's pushing into the inner links, which are the female links. So I would be saying in my head that the male link is rusting. Back to the initial part of your question, how can you reduce the amount of rust that you're getting? You're saying you're up in the tropics, so it might be like wetter weather, it might be just like dewy and humid in the morning and that sort of thing. That is what's causing it. You're absolutely right. The last question there, I said that I know a few things, but I don't know everything. I'm not a scientist. I'm always learning some things, but my understanding of rust, it's a chemical reaction that happens when water and air, so water and oxygen, come together on the surface of a chain, and that's what will cause the rust. So to like expand on that a little bit, it's really just saying that your chain is wet, and then as it dries up through oxygen, and I don't know if oxidization is the right word there, but it begins to dry up, and that's what causes the rust. So the best way to avoid it is to keep a dry chain. One way you could do that is to have perhaps like a tarpaulin over the top of your bike, just to stop any splashing or just the wetness of the air as well getting onto the bike. You could go quite extreme and maybe put like a towel over the metal parts of the bike, as in chainring, cassette, chain. You could have it like a towel or a tea towel or a rag or something there. I'm trying to think outside the box here, but really what you're trying to do is avoid it getting wet. That's your best chance at doing it. I think that answers that pretty well. Yeah. Great question, and I'm sure a lot of people are thinking that, so that was a very good question to ask. Thank you.
This one here, it's quite long, but there's not really a question, but it's more just a statement and some advice from Benjamin Quest on YouTube. But I'll just read the first part because it's maybe, I think a few people sort of noticed this, like, well, that chain was dirty already, and then putting lube on top of it will just prime the chain for another ounce of grinding paste. If you want to lube your chain properly, the first step is cleaning the chain. I responded to a few of these with that. It was just for an example. Yeah, great question. And that probably ties in pretty well with the question that we had two back there as well. We were talking about, should we be cleaning our chain before we lubricate it? Can it be
over lubricated and that sort of thing. I suppose, yes, in the particular example that we used for the video with the bike that I happened to grab, okay, yes, it wasn't incredibly clean, you're absolutely right, my apologies. But yes, if you're re-lubricating the chain, if you're over lubricating it, yes, that can eventually become a bad thing. I think in the particular example that we used, if it was my opinion of bad and horrible, I probably wouldn't have allowed it to be in front of the camera just yet. So yes, cleaning the chain would be ideal if you have the time to do it, of course. Yeah, great question, or great statement, I suppose. Thank you.
Yeah, when I first started riding, and I was like, yeah, I'm lubing and I'm doing it myself, and you know, yeah, but I didn't know that you had to clean it, and I didn't know that you had to like lube it sometimes, not all the time, and so I used to lube it all the time and not clean it. So. Yeah.
I've just had it. My point where I learnt that I was over lubing my chain too much is that I was sitting at the traffic lights and just like leaning my bike across as I do, and my shin touched this part of the chainring here as I'm just sitting at the traffic lights, and I had this almost tattoo looking style chain mark on my leg. Too much chain lubricant. So well, not too much chain lubricant. The chain was incredibly dirty, I suppose, and it left a big mark on my perfectly white socks. I was quite upset. So from that point forth, it's important to keep your chain clean. Yes, of course.
I have a friend who has got a tattoo of a chain
yes,
tattoo.
yes. He comes in here as well.
Mick?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. On the back of his calf. Yes. Yeah. Wow, Adelaide, right? Everyone knows everyone.
0 degrees separation.
Yeah, except I don't know user CXBK, whoever you are. Anyway, thank you.
That's cool. And I've got one more with the lube, and this is a really good one actually. I was like, oh, that's a good question. It's from Source, capital letters, Source.
Nice. Can
chain lube go off? I've been carrying Teflon lube for ages.
I'm going to be very transparent and say I don't have an exact answer for that. I'm going to assume no, because as long as it's a liquid, it's probably still okay. You're not consuming it, obviously. You're not like eating it or drinking it, I mean. You're consuming it on the bike. But I'm going to throw back to a question we had before. We talked about ZFC, Zero Friction Cycling. If you have a look at his website, I'm sure Adam has a far more intellectual answer for that. I would assume no, but if I was to quickly grab a bottle, looking very quickly with my eyes in the middle of the camera, it doesn't say anything about an expiry date on the bottom either, or like on the lid. It doesn't have anything obvious written on there. I would assume no, but to be honest, I don't know the answer to that question. I'm going to Google that one later. Thank you. I'm going to look on Zero Friction Cycling, actually. That's where I'm going to find it. Yeah.
Good question, but it's not food, so you still think it can't really go.
Yeah, I would assume not. And also, if you left it in your shed for a year and you didn't want to use it, you just have to spend more money and buy another bottle. I don't want to spend more money. I just want to reuse the product that I've already paid money and bought. So, yeah, perhaps someone in the comments could probably tell us the actual answer. I'm going to go check it out on Zero Friction Cycling anyway, but that's probably all I've got on that question. I'm sorry. I apologise. I don't know everything. Yeah.
And that's basically all we've got around the lube. There's some more questions, but we'll answer those in another episode, I think.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you for sending in lots of questions about the chain lubricant. I hope you've learnt a bunch of things. I hope you understand a couple more things and some of those questions make a bit more sense. We were talking about rusty chains. We were talking about chain lubricant going off. We talked about so many different things. So I hope you learned something.
And one more thing.
Yes.
We wanted to show how tough your skin is. I'm going to show them your tattoo that you've just had finished.
The tattoo, not the tattoo, the comment section does not bother me. I have tough skin. I've got tattoos. You can send all these things through. I've spent many hours under the needle, so I'm not too worried about the comment section about some words on a screen. I can handle a needle.
And this took you since like a year almost.
Pretty much, yeah, like 40 hours or something. Anyway, I know that none of you came here to understand about lube, but now you're learning about ink instead of lube. But anyway, point being,
tough skin.
Yeah, tough skin. We'll sign off there, and otherwise we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks, guys. See ya.